everybody! Welcome to Reacting Wrong Meme. Welcome to Reacting Reddit, where real humans read, react, and summarize stories, content, trending topics, using replies on Reddit. A coder girl says, honestly, there's so many posts in best legal advice that answer this question. It's a really interesting subreddit, but a lot of the posts naturally involve the utterly worst people. One bad one that fits this thread well, and came to mind for me, is the one where a guy posted deleted, but Bola post has snapshots, that he was being accused of rape, but kept arguing that it wasn't rape. He drove her out to his place where cell reception is really bad and pressured her for sex. She says she needs to leave, but he says she promised sex. He took her phone away because she was on it too much. They have sex, she flees while he showers, and soon police come to arrest him. Comments all bashed him as a rapist because he took her somewhere she couldn't easily leave, couldn't call for help, and then pressured her when she felt like she had no other way out. Lol what says that whole thing was infuriating. It takes a few clicks to get to the boss's thread, but that person is dense, you know? Oh, okay, this person is talking about another thread about an anti-Semitic boss who was writing on Reddit, and now all the threads are gonna be about that. Vindictive Judd says, employer threw surprise baby shower and is accused of hostile work environment. Original Los Angeles post by employer, original LA post by employer. Employee finds out they were tricked into eating non-kosher food. Also, where they put together that the above post was by their boss. Update to employee learning they ate non-kosher food. Poof. Yes. Giggle Dust says, prejudice worker was upset because they threw Jewish worker a baby shower, which is taboo in Judaism. And the prejudice worker was offended she didn't respond or thank her for a party. And she made a comment about kosher food all the time. Don't have to link, but prejudice worker was in the wrong entirely. Here's the link. It's a hell of a read. It's called Legal Advice Comments, Tricked into Eating Something I Don't Eat at Work. Someone else posted that she later had contacted a lawyer and the company offered to settle out of court to keep it as quiet as possible. I'm glad that the situation is being rectified for her. It was a pretty crazy thing to read about. Reptilian Nasty Boy says, what about the creepy guy who spent months perving on a young intern who had just started working under him at a nonprofit? The one who swore up and down that he wasn't interested in her romantically or sexually, but made repeated references to show how beautiful she was, tried to pick a fight with her boyfriend, then started stalking her and tried getting the boyfriend arrested on phony domestic abuse accusations in order to force them apart. And that super specific thread, if you had gotten raped, how would you catch them? I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty clear the dude wanted to rape someone and was trying to figure out how to get away with it. Whew. Pragmatic Squirrel says, just went down that rabbit hole. The original is deleted, but in other posts of his, he describes the situation again. After the fact, ranting angrily about how the girl tried to fuck with him at work, aka reported him to HR. Comments were appropriately hateful, and someone linked to an image of his original bonkers post, and someone else commented that there were the girl's boyfriends and the guy had lied about a bunch of them. He wasn't just a friendly mentor, he was a handsy and a perv. The post on Reddit is on Nice Guys subreddit. Poster on relationships claims his coworker that something. Then a user going by Bob's Cat Scratch tried to call out that the account is fake, only to be sleuthed out as a likely sock puppet for Menu Messages. So Menu Messages is still growing strong. He just switched to Bob's Cat Scratch. Checking him out today, Bob Cat Scratch appears to be a misogynistic Trump supporter. Shocking. Radical Pastafarian says, holy, I just read some comments on that shit. There was a murder that happened with this exact same scenario. A nice guy boss and a female employee who couldn't get him to leave her alone. except she didn't have a boyfriend, and he ended up bashing her head in after going with him to the wedding. It's getting scary. Was this the Home Depot one? No, that one played out a little bit differently. Brian Cooper was the guy, and he was not a nice guy manager. He had been harassing Alicia Bromfield since she was 17 and started at Home Depot. It wasn't just her either. One of her friends that had started at the same time as she did actually quit because of his harassment of the female employees. He threatened Alicia's job and told her she was fired if she didn't go to his sister's wedding with him. She had worked there a few years at that point, was pregnant, and afraid to lose her benefits. So she agreed to go with him. He strangled her to death and then sexually assaulted her dead body before calling the police to turn himself in. Whew, that's harsh. What the Frel says, oh man, I totally forgot about those posts. The guy was convinced she was in an abusive relationship because she simply wanted to go spend time with her significant other. Dude practically is a living copy-paster with gems like, "Fucking bitch, I've been in this profession a decade longer than you. I could have helped you move forward in your career. Now you're talking shit? You really want to try and ruin my reputation when all I did was try to help? Do you know the connections I have? You think when you leave in a month, you'll just slide in easily in some new job? I will fucking ruin you and make sure everyone knows how terrible of an employee you were. Let the games begin, you dumb bitch. Try to keep your fucking legs closed for a few minutes while I fix the damage you caused. You really have no idea how non-profits work, do you? This is such a small world, and you attack the one person who has helped you from the beginning. Oh, and thanks for not showing up at my boxing match, even though we talked about it for months and you said you would come. This just confirms that you were never a friend and just using me. We don't need users like you in the business. I've helped hundreds of people, and I will have hundreds more. Can't wait for you to go back into your cushy life now that you don't know what real pain is. Leave the real world to people like me who genuinely care about helping." Damn, that is an ego trip. Holy crap. Crazy Fist shares a post that I'm going to read and remind you that I'm not the person who is saying these things. It's a reply from this guy, and it was written a month after the HR report. Where do I even start? This Friday will be a month since you left. 3 weeks ago marks a year since we met. I wonder if you even think about any of that. Huh. Honestly, you probably do. But I know he wouldn't ever let you show it. Do you know that I haven't had the strength to go on social media or Reddit for a while now? It reminds me too much of the memes we shared on Snapchat. But I'm tired of holding back my happiness because you chose to be dense. I remember like yesterday when you walked in, nervous, unsure, but beautiful nonetheless. I immediately introduced myself. This is something I never do, as I do have to maintain a role of authority, but something about you was different. Well, I thought so anyways. I could see that just speaking to you changed your demeanor. I had an effect on you. You never really worked in an office before and didn't realize how cold it would be. I offered you my blazer, and you were so thankful. It put a smile on face, but it was also shown when I first noticed that we would become good friends. Man, how things changed, huh? To be honest, I probably never would have become such a good friend to you. There lies I probably never should have become such a good friend to you. There lies my biggest mistake. People always tell me I'm too trusting and friendly, and until now, I really didn't want to believe it. But I took you under my wing. With my help, you picked up things so quickly, faster than anyone I saw in a decade in this business. You had a future in this. You were promising. See how I said had? Lol. I still get a smile when I think that meeting we had to present to Roger. You were so nervous, visibly shaking. Do you remember who gave you the encouraging words so you could go out there? Do you remember how delighted he was and how all the compliments he gave you? You were ecstatic. You were made for this, and I was the one to show you that you could do it. On our way back from the presentation, I took you to the halal food truck. I still can't believe you never tried it, but you loved it. You would Snapchat me every time you went, but you threw it all away because you were weak. It really isn't your fault, I know, but I can't help but be angry that you were so weak. You let him gaslight you, abuse you, control you. He decided who your friends were. He decides who you text. He decides how long you stay out. But at the end of the day, you accepted it. You let him, and for that, I don't think I can ever forgive you. I tried so hard to get through to you, but instead, you turned on me. You almost ruined everything I worked for, but alas, you came to your senses and at least dropped the ridiculous accusations. I guess I can at least respect that. It's just really sad. There was a position open that you would have been perfect for. I told you it was going to open very early on when we met. I was preparing you for it. If you didn't leave, you would be starting on Monday. But no, another, more qualified person will. Someone who actually wants to help people and not just themselves. What truly hurt is when you didn't show up to my match. I told you about how hard I have been working, and you pretended to be so supportive. You promised you wouldn't miss it, but where were you? I know you had nothing to do last night. I saw your status about how you started binging True Blood, something I introduced you to. So what was your excuse? Gross. Your behavior is just gross. We could have built an empire, but I will now build it on my own. I was always going in. I just thought I would help a friend along in the journey. But it will be truly interesting when you've broke, lonely, and depressed in a few years because of this terrible mistake. When you come back to me looking for help, and I will no longer be the guy who bends over backwards for you. I hope you remember that. You made this decision. You chose him over your future. You chose him over your career. You chose him over your friends that really cared for you. It's sad, pathetic really. I feel bad but also amused and angry. Today has just been hard because I found out the person we interviewed will start Monday. It just brought back a lot of memories and I just had to vent. But you probably don't care. You were acting just to boost your own ego, not because you ever cared about the people we helped. You are a sad and broken person. You are pathetic, and it disgusts me how you acted in the end. But you will just be a smudge in my memories. Good luck, kid. You're gonna need it. Whoa, holy shit. What the fuck? Is this real? Like, you know what's scary about this is I've heard people talk like this in real life, and I can tell you that it's never been an innocent person. Like, when people talk like this, they are it's psychological projection in almost all the cases. Like, people get this moment where they're like, holy shit, I'm kind of aware of this part of me that's fucking horrible, and then instead of accepting that, they choose to be like, actually, no, that person's the asshole. That person's the dud. That person needs to, they're the problem. They're the gaslighter. They're the crazy person. And I personally, actually, I lived with someone in the past. And this kind of mentality, it comes from when a child is treated really shittily by their parents. Like, really shittily. Where instead of their parents being supportive and encouraging, their parents are constantly attacking them, constantly saying they're not good enough, constantly gaslighting them. You'll find that the people who talk about gaslighting and being gaslit often are, there's a correlation, right? Like, you don't really find people who talk all the time about being gaslit who don't talk like this. Gaslighting's like something that, so if you don't know what it is, gaslighting is when you start saying somebody's crazy to discredit them. And it absolutely is used on people who seem crazy who aren't crazy, right? But it also, in regular conversation and online, if you see a long post being written up and you hear that word a whole bunch, there often is a correlation to that person having some issues from the way their parents treated them as children. And this is a lot of conjecture on me. I'm just trying to help you understand what puts humans into a position where they treat each other so shitty like this. Because the chance is that this person, this poster, hasn't had much romantic experience at all in their life and has been, I don't want to say neglected, but When you deny humans from all the things they need to feel joy, their minds become very complicated and highly, highly, highly neurotic. And especially if you deny them of love. And so say that you're an individual and you get into your 30s or 40s and maybe you've never actually had like a real relationship. You've just had people you develop feelings for and talk to online and stuff. And if you had a very complicated childhood where your parents were highly, highly neurotic with you, this is what happens. This is a direct result of that experience. That's how if you want to create a human who talks like this, that's what you do. You treat them like crap when they're a kid. You constantly attack them. You don't give them any kind of positivity. You constantly make them doubt themselves. You constantly attack their character. And then you don't let them date. You don't let them spend time with anybody. You tell them they should feel guilty for wanting to fall in love or wanting to have sex or having any kind of sexual interest. You tell them they should feel shame. They should feel guilt. And that's how you can create a person like this. So I understand this person who would want to be around a person like that. I'm not trying to like justify their behavior at all. They're obviously like borderline criminal if they aren't criminal. But I'm just pointing out that there's a series of life events that leads a human to function that way. And a lot of us, unfortunately, have gone through something like that, where, you know, something was done to us that was bad, and we let it affect how we view the world. And it's the best thing you can do is just, anytime you're talking about another person, it doesn't matter if it's a thought alone to yourself or if you're writing about it. If you're talking shit about another person, you're distracting yourself from the shit your brain's talking about you. And that's always how it works. Every single time that you say anything bad about anybody, even if it's true, like Trump, for example, if you're listening to this, and you're, you know, democratically leaning, then you probably talk shit about Trump. And, you know, in some cases, yeah, maybe a lot of cases you had good reason to, but guess what? Ultimately, you talking shit about Trump was just distracting you from something you're not fixing in yourself. And people hate hearing that, but it's true. And you know it's true. And you can observe that in other people if you're not ready to observe it in yourself, but ultimately, all humans fall for these same problems. So don't talk shit about other people. And if you do, figure out what shit your brain's talking about yourself and try and fix it. You gotta love yourself so that you can love others. But sometimes you have to love others to love yourself. It's a complicated chicken and egg basket weaving. Life is crazy. Let's keep going. Kelly Leo says this dude's twisted perception of things kind of reads like a Sith Lord whose apprentice failed him. Whoa, that's apt. And I guess he's never heard of anyone talk about the concept of grooming a younger mate and how fucked up that is. Messonics96 says this has been mentioned in the true crime subreddits a few times, but I don't see it in here. April Beaver had the account Aoki Mom, where she would frequently post about her life, including homeschooling her children and marrying her husband at the age of 15. She made a comment about how her children would go on to do great things, and 6 months later, her 2 oldest sons killed her husband, and 3 of their siblings. 2 survived, 1 with serious injuries, and 1 had not been harmed. It's known as the Broken Arrow murders. It's a tough case to read about because the sons who committed the murders were only 18 and 16, and you kind of want to feel bad for them the more you read about the family. The dad would hit them, and their parents would keep the children mostly inside and told them to stay away from the windows because the outside world would corrupt them. Obviously, it doesn't excuse in any way the fact that they brutally killed their young siblings, but it's just such a weird, depressing case all around. This user lives in Tulsa. Broken Arrow is a suburb of Tulsa, and remembers reading about this in the paper. They say, it was a huge shock, and the recollections from the daughter who survived are absolutely unbelievable. At some point, she talked about feeling wet on her stomach, and she realized it was her intestine hanging out. This is all while her brother is stabbing her. I don't know how anybody survives something like that. She came off as so resilient and strong in the article. Flappy Jabber says, holy, this is where I live. We moved to this very small town just before Halloween that year, and this happened just after Halloween. Oh, well, that was a creepy way to end. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. If you want more of this kind of content, please do one of the following. Watch another video, comment below, like the video, or the ultimate, subscribe to the channel. Actually, no, that's not true. The ultimate show of support is to reach out to us and talk to us about using software to create YouTube channels and thumbnails and videos. Because if you're interested in that, we want to have a Zoom call with you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao.